Like everybody here, I could speak hours about Bryan, and the family asked me to say a few words, and I'm like Kali, who spoke on how loss of Bryan has her speechless, even though never really much of a shortage for words. I'm the same way. I saw chat by in the chat room by Joe Madison that talked about how Bryan was in the middle of editing his book, and that's how I feel. Bryan was in the middle of everything I was doing. He's my editor. He's my voice. He always said everything I wanted to say better than I could say it. And so when it came time for me to think about what was I going to say, and I could talk for so long, I thought, wow, I would like to hear what Bryan would say. And so I told Abe, I agree with everyone who's on here, how much he loved you, loved her, and loved his family more than anything else. I said, I would like to find some to be able to hear Bryan's voice. So the last big Zoom call we did was something he was very passionate about, which is a dream I had for music for this moment, and put together a group of Grammy members and some pretty illustrious folks. And Bryan took over and made this vision his own, because of the two things that he was a true Renaissance man, but he was passionate about music and he was passionate about journalism. And this was one of this concept to sort of bring it together. So I thought I'd abdicate my speech for letting Bryan speak to all of us. So this is from our Zoom call. I don't know, Bibi, do you want to start off?
No.
Okay.
Let me kind of kick the door open. First of all, thank you everybody for joining us. I'm Bryan Monroe, and Steve, that's a great, wonderful introduction. I'll have to pay you later in food or something. I don't know. But
I'm surprised you don't have your Pulitzer sitting, in screen chat right now.
Oh goodness, I sent that to my mom years ago. We are at an amazing, challenging, difficult, mesmerizing, frustrating, engaging time in our lives. We know what's happening with this dreadful disease. We know what's happening politically in 25 days. We know, there's a hurricane bearing down on Louisiana as we speak. And through all this, we hope that Black Lives Matter. Through all of this, there's an important role that music plays, that music has played historically, continues to play, and will play in the future. And the analogy I make is my own profession, journalism. I'm a professor now at Temple University, but I'm a recovering daily journalist, CNN and Ebony and Knight Ridder and all this kind of stuff. But the role of journalism in this moment is critical. You would not have known that first Hope Hicks and then Donald Trump had coronavirus had it not been for a journalist, Jennifer Jacobs at Bloomberg, first broke the story about Hope Hicks that then led to the White House. First, they first denied it, then they confirmed it. Then it led to the confirmation of what was happening with the president. And I was telling folks earlier, I'm here in DC, and literally I'm actually in Bethesda, Maryland. Right across the street from me is Walter Reed National Medical Center. And so in the last week, we had quite a bit of traffic coming back and forth. And I see one of my good friends is on Joe Madison, the Black Eagle on Sirius XM. He's joining us. And I know he and Bibi are good friends. And
no.
And Joe and I talk about this a lot, that the role of journalism in uncovering truth, shining a light, and engaging a conversation is critical. Music has that same responsibility. Music has the responsibility to affect us, to touch our soul, to illuminate these trying times in a way that nothing else can do emotionally, socially, intellectually. And that's what this conversation is today. This is probably the most you're going to hear out of me, because I really want to hear from all of you. We'll start with our five principles, but we're going to open this up to everyone the next hour or so
You
to
know,
talk about and engage what is your responsibility and how do we make the creative spirit connect with these times. There are a lot of people that are doing it already right now, today, and we want to applaud and celebrate and amplify those voices. But we also want to encourage those who haven't yet stepped up in the way that we know we can. We want to find the next Marvins, the next Ninas, the next John Lennons, who can take music and use it to illuminate this moment.
So powerful to see and hear him like that. It's hard to break away.
yeah, it's
Very hard.
it's just it's still not reality to me actually that
No,
he's
no, it's
not
hard to imagine.
in part of this. 3 months or later, I still am not come to grips with that he is not. And I listened to that whole Zoom call, and it was so good to me to hear every word he said throughout. And I miss him like everybody on this call. We all shared super deep loss.
Steve, thank you for sharing that. That meant so much more than you can imagine than just us speaking to hear Bryan. His
Well,
dear
he has been the producer, I'm sure. The super talented people who have been around. The fact that we've got his star friend, Suzanne, at the helm here. There's no question that the fact that I wanted Bryan's video played was Bryan screaming in my ear someplace. So I think the fact that this has gone so smoothly is, Bryan is, there's no
got his
question,
hand in
is
everything.
pulling he's pulling strings.